There is a presence so tender, so holy, that when he enters a life, the very atmosphere begins to shift. Hearts that were once heavy with sorrow begin to flutter with the promise of hope. The deepest wounds, those no one else can see, start to heal with a gentleness not of this world. This isn't imagination nor mere inspiration. This is a sacred reality. There comes a moment when the ordinary can no longer satisfy, when the noise of the world fades into a distant murmur, and something divine begins to stir deep within. A sacred invitation, a whisper in the soul. And when that whisper is answered, when that door is opened, something beyond human words takes place. Not just a feeling, not just a moment, but a transformation that only heaven could bring. You may have walked through years of brokenness or lived in the shadows of fear and regret, but when he comes, oh, when he comes, nothing remains the same. The chains fall, the shame dissolves, the tears are wiped away by hands unseen. He doesn't barge in, he waits for an open heart. And when that heart surrenders, what was once barren begins to bloom. You don't need the perfect words. You don't need a long list of achievements. All you need is to be willing. Willing to let go. Willing to believe that there's more. And when he is welcomed in, he doesn't just visit, he takes residence. He breathes life where there was death. He speaks peace into the storm. And suddenly, your story is no longer about survival, but redemption. About beauty rising from the ashes. The world might try to offer answers, but none will ever match the power of that sacred encounter. When he enters, he brings heaven with him. And where heaven is, everything begins to change. The Holy Spirit doesn't come to improve your life. He comes to transform it completely. He doesn't dress up what is broken or polish what is fading. He brings about a new creation, not a patched-up version of the old. Where the world offers modifications, he brings resurrection. You can feel it the moment he enters. Not like a thunderclap, but like the gentle turning of a tide that slowly overtakes the whole shore. There is a sacred hush, a divine interruption, and suddenly, everything you've known as truth begins to be redefined in the light of a higher reality. Your mind can't explain it, but your spirit knows. This is not of man. This is holy. There are people who have walked for years carrying chains so heavy they forgot how it felt to be free. They've tried self-help, tried distraction, tried numbing their hearts in silence, but when he enters, he doesn't touch the surface. He reaches into the depth of the soul, places his hand on the very place where the bleeding began, and speaks a word only heaven knows. He doesn't fix us. He replaces the heart of stone with a heart of flesh, and suddenly, what once seemed impossible becomes effortless. Because it's not by might nor by power, but by his Spirit. The Holy Spirit reveals Jesus in such a way that you begin to fall in love, not with an idea, not with religion, but with a person who loves without limits. He unveils the cross not as a doctrine, but as an invitation to intimacy. You no longer strive to be good enough. You simply surrender. And in that surrender, he makes you new. There's no striving in his presence. There's rest. There's weeping, yes, but it's a holy kind of weeping. The kind that comes when you realize you've been carrying pain you were never meant to carry. And he takes it all, not just parts. He takes the whole burden and replaces it with his peace. Transformation by the Spirit is not loud. It's not forced. It's a slow yielding, a gentle undoing of the old self. He comes in the quiet moments when you're alone and raw and begins to speak words that echo in eternity. You start to hear him in the stillness, in the pauses between your thoughts, in the tears that fall without explanation. The Holy Spirit doesn't just change your behavior. He changes your desires. The things you once chased after begin to lose their shine. And in their place grows a hunger, a holy longing for more of him. He will lead you to let go of bitterness you thought you needed for survival. He will ask for the fears you've hidden for decades, not to punish, but to set you free. And freedom in the Spirit is not the absence of trouble. It's the presence of peace in the middle of it. There will be storms, but he will anchor you. There will be battles, but he will be your strength. When he fills you, you no longer walk alone. You walk with the counselor, the comforter, the one who knows the mind of God and whispers it into your soul. In moments of prayer, you may find yourself weeping without knowing why. That is his work. In the lifting of hands, when the words run dry, he begins to intercede with groanings too deep for words. He reveals the depths of God's heart, not through information but through encounter. You come to know the Father not because someone told you, but because the Spirit has testified to your spirit that you are his child. And when that realization hits, chains break. And when that realization hits, shame break. Chains break, loses its grip. Condemnation flees. It is muted. It protrudes itself. It is light. It becomes deeper. It calls back light. And light breathes. Light breathes. It's Spirit of the living God, fall afresh. Break through the walls that time and trauma have built. Burn away the lies we've believed and let truth reign in our hearts. Create in us clean hearts and renew right spirits within us. Come into the corners of our soul we've been too afraid to open. Dwell in us, live through us, love through us. We yield every thought, every plan, every wound, every dream to you. Take complete control, not a portion, not a piece, but all. He will not come where he is merely tolerated. He comes where he is welcomed. Welcome with trembling hands and surrendered hearts. And in that welcome, the heavens open. You begin to live not as the world lives, but as one born from above. The old things pass away. The cravings of the flesh lose their voice. You don't have to perform anymore. You begin to walk in the Spirit, and with every step, you are led into truth, into mercy, into freedom. And the beauty of it is this: he never leaves. He abides, he remains. You are not an occasional visitation, you become his dwelling place. And wherever he dwells, there is liberty. Not as the world defines it, but liberty that frees you from yourself, from pride, from striving, from needing approval, from the fear of being abandoned. He becomes your portion, your power, your identity. You no longer look for purpose, you live from it, because where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is not only liberty, there is life, and life more abundantly. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the everlasting way. Let not my will but yours be done. Take every idol I've built, tear down every wall I've raised. Let the fire of your Spirit consume everything that's not of you. Cleanse my mind, purify my heart, and align my spirit to yours. I am yours, let your presence never leave me. Let my life be a reflection of your glory. Let me decrease, that you may increase. Let your Spirit breathe upon every dry bone and bring it back to life. You are not the same once he enters. You don't walk the same, think the same, love the same. You live in surrender. You live in wonder. You live in him. When he enters, every hidden wound is exposed to healing light. Not one scar remains unnoticed. Not a single ache is ignored. The pain you buried so deeply that you forgot it was even there. He knows it. He's seen every tear you cried alone, every whispered prayer you thought fell on deaf ears. And with a gentleness no human hand could ever offer, he begins to uncover those places. Not to shame, not to wound further, but to heal. He moves in compassion. He is drawn to the brokenhearted, drawn to the places we've locked away because they hurt too much to touch. His love doesn't avoid your pain, it steps into it, wraps it in holy light, and begins to restore what was lost. There is no healing in hiding. The Holy Spirit invites you out of the shadows, out of the silence, out of the pretense. He doesn't wait for you to clean yourself up first. He comes into the mess, into the shattered places, into the questions and confusion. He doesn't demand perfection. He desires surrender. And when you give him access, when you allow him to go where no one else has been permitted, that's where the transformation begins. He sees the root, not just the fruit. He doesn't just address the outward symptoms. He gently, patiently, thoroughly goes to the cause. And as he begins to pull out the thorns embedded deep within your spirit, his presence is the balm that soothes every sting. You don't have to explain your pain to him. He already knows. He was there when the wound was made. He wept with you in secret. He felt every sting of betrayal, every word that cut you, every silence that screamed louder than words ever could. And yet, he has not turned away. He is still here. He remains close, closer than your next breath, and in that closeness, he begins to speak the truth over the lies you've carried for far too long. You thought you were abandoned. He whispers, I never left. You thought you were unworthy. He speaks, you are my beloved. You thought you were broken beyond repair. He declares, I make all things new. The light he brings is not harsh. It is healing. It doesn't expose to condemn. It exposes to restore. You may feel vulnerable, but not unsafe. You may feel seen, but not judged. In His presence, conviction is never condemnation. It is invitation. An invitation to step out of shame and into freedom. An invitation to let go of what no longer serves your spirit. An invitation to come as you are and be made whole. Even when you resist, even when you try to keep the doors of your heart closed, He waits, patiently, lovingly. The Holy Spirit is not in a hurry. He moves at the pace your heart can bear. But when He finds just a crack, just the slightest opening, He steps in and begins the work. He is the Comforter, and He comforts not with empty words, but with power. Power that can turn mourning into joy. Power that can lift the weight of sorrow. Power that can bring peace in the middle of chaos. O Spirit of God, search the deepest places of my heart. Shine your light where I have hidden away the pain. Touch the wounds I've tried to forget. Bring healing where there has been only numbness. I give you permission to go where no one else has gone. I open every door, every room, every broken part. Come and dwell. Come and restore. Make me whole in ways I never knew I was broken. Be the joy in the place of sadness. Be the peace in the place of fear. Be the love that replaces rejection. I trust you. I welcome you. When He begins to heal, it's not just for the surface. It's a deep, lasting healing that rewrites your story. He brings back the innocence that life tried to steal. He restores the joy that trauma tried to bury. He revives the dreams that disappointment tried to kill. There are no wounds too old, no sins too dark, no failures too final. He specializes in resurrection. What was dead, hope, faith, trust, He breathes on it again, and with one breath, what was impossible becomes possible. What was buried begins to rise. Sometimes healing doesn't look like instant deliverance. Sometimes it's the slow daily walk with Him, a process, a journey of letting go, of forgiving, of trusting. But every step is sacred. Every tear that falls is collected. He doesn't just heal you for your sake. He heals you so that you may become a vessel of healing for others. What the enemy meant for evil, He turns for good. The testimony that emerges from your healing will be the light someone else needs to find their way home. Spirit of holiness, fall on me anew. Heal the broken places that still ache. Deliver me from the memories that haunt me. Break every chain of bitterness, resentment, and fear. Cleanse my heart from all that defiles. Restore unto me the joy of your salvation. Wash over me with rivers of living water. I yield, I surrender, I say yes. Yes to your healing, yes to your timing, yes to your truth. Make my heart your dwelling place. There is something sacred about being undone in the presence of the Holy Spirit. You are not dismantled to be discarded, but to be rebuilt stronger, purer, freer. He does not leave a single piece behind. He gathers every shattered fragment and fits it together with divine precision. You begin to feel whole, not because circumstances have changed, but because your spirit has been touched by heaven. The pain that once defined you no longer holds power. The chains that once bound you no longer dictate your steps. You begin to walk with a new posture, speak with a new authority, live with a new peace. He is not afraid of your mess. He steps into it with purpose. He steps in with healing in His wings. He steps in with love so fierce it consumes every lie, every fear, every shameful memory. And once he begins the work, he is faithful to complete it. The Holy Spirit replaces confusion with divine clarity and eternal purpose. When your mind is clouded by too many voices, too many questions, and the noise of this world drowns out the whisper of truth, he comes as the still, small voice that cuts through the fog. There's no striving in his guidance, just a calm assurance, a quiet knowing that begins to rise from within. He doesn't shout. He doesn't overwhelm. He gently realigns your thoughts to heaven's perspective, and suddenly what felt impossible to discern becomes perfectly clear. What was blurry in the soul begins to sharpen in his light. The world pulls in 1,000 directions. You try to choose, to understand, to make sense of the chaos. But human wisdom can only take you so far before it reaches its end. The Holy Spirit speaks not from the surface, but from the deep. He does not give temporary solutions. He gives eternal truths. And those truths break chains. They silence anxiety. They remove the heaviness that confusion always brings. You realize that confusion is not from God, for He is not the author of confusion, but of peace. And in that peace, you hear His voice. You hear what your soul was made for. You don't have to chase after direction when He's dwelling within you. You don't have to search endlessly outside yourself. The Spirit of God abides in the one who surrenders. And in that abiding presence is wisdom, discernment, and a deep awareness of what truly matters. He leads not by logic alone, but by revelation. He shows you what eyes cannot see. He confirms what hearts cannot invent. The clarity He gives is not limited to circumstances. It reaches into your identity, your purpose, your calling. You begin to see your life through the lens of eternity, not through the lens of fear or failure. Many are lost not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack light. The Holy Spirit is that light. He lights the path that seemed hidden. He makes crooked places straight. He removes the pressure to figure it all out on your own, and in exchange, He offers guidance that flows like a river. Steady, unforced, sure. You begin to realize that your steps are ordered not by chance, but by a loving, intentional hand. He is not random. He is not late. He is precise in His timing, exact in His voice, and faithful in His leading. O Spirit of truth, come and fill my mind with your thoughts. Remove every lie I've believed. Silence the voices that have spoken fear, doubt, and confusion into my life. Let the light of your presence drive out every shadow. Lead me in your perfect will. Make my thoughts agreeable to yours. Teach me to discern not by my own understanding, but by your Spirit. I surrender my plans, my ambitions, my questions. Speak, Lord. Your servant is listening. The Holy Spirit is the revealer of purpose. Not the kind of purpose that fades with age or changes with seasons, but a divine purpose that is rooted in the heart of God. He reminds you that you were not an accident, that your life is not without meaning, that even the most painful parts of your story can be redeemed into something beautiful. He opens your eyes to see the divine hand over your timeline. Even in the moments you thought He was silent, what once felt like detours begin to look like preparation. What once seemed like wasted years become years of refining. He will take what you thought disqualified you and turn it into the very thing He uses for His glory. That is divine clarity, when you begin to see as He sees, not just outwardly but inwardly. You begin to view your trials, your choices, even your failures through the filter of redemption. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? And the Holy Spirit answers. Not always in the way you expect, but always in the way that brings life. There will be moments when others question your path, when you yourself hesitate, when the future looks uncertain, but He will anchor you. He will speak when you need answers. He will remind you of what He's already said. His voice brings calm to chaos. His word is a lamp to your feet. He confirms His direction not just through peace, but through His word, through His people, through inner witness. You begin to trust Him, not just for the destination, but for every step along the way. Spirit of wisdom and revelation, open the eyes of my heart. Let me see the hope of my calling. Let me understand the riches of your inheritance in me. Reveal the mystery of your will. Guard my heart from deception, from distraction, from discouragement. Let your voice be louder than all others. Write your instructions on the tablets of my heart. Let me walk in alignment with heaven's purpose for my life. With Him, clarity is not always instant, but it is always faithful. He knows when to speak and when to wait. He knows how to prepare your heart to receive. And sometimes in the waiting, He's doing the deepest work, building trust, building endurance, building dependence. Divine clarity is not just about knowing the next step. It's about knowing the one who leads. And when you know Him, you don't need to see the whole path. You only need to know that He is with you. He will clarify your relationships. He will expose what is sent to derail you. He will highlight what is holy and silence what is not. He will align your desires with heaven's timeline. You won't have to force doors open. When it's His will, the door will not only open, it will beckon you through. And the peace that follows will be unmistakable. He will take the questions you cried through the night and turn them into testimonies. He will take the crossroads and make them altars. He will take the confusion and replace it with sacred understanding. You will begin to discern, not just with your mind, but with your spirit. You will know things that you could never have reasoned your way into. That is the power of the Holy Spirit. To lead, to reveal, to transform confusion into clarity and purposelessness into divine assignment. His presence turns fear into boldness and weakness into supernatural strength. The moment He comes, you no longer stand in your own power. You begin to rise in the power of another, one who cannot fail, one who does not fear, one who is eternal. There is a divine exchange in His presence. What once held you back begins to fall away. The voices of fear grow silent. The weight of insecurity lifts, and you, who once trembled in the shadows, begin to speak with a courage you never knew lived inside you. That courage is not yours. It is Him in you. He does not ask you to be strong on your own. He does not command you to be fearless in your own flesh. He comes to be your strength. He comes to be your confidence. He comes to fill you with something that cannot be manufactured or imitated. The boldness of the Spirit is not arrogance. It is not self-promotion. It is the quiet, unwavering assurance that the one who called you is faithful, that you do not walk alone, that you do not speak on your own. that heaven backs your every step when you walk in obedience. Fear paralyzes. It lies. It whispers that you are not enough, not ready, not qualified. But when the Spirit comes, His voice drowns out every other. He does not just speak to your mind, He awakens your soul. He breathes life into dry bones. You begin to move not because fear is gone, but because faith has taken its place. The fear may still be there, but it no longer rules. His presence gives you the grace to move forward anyway. And with every step of obedience, that fear loses its grip. You'll find that what once terrified you no longer has power over you. What once seemed impossible becomes the very thing He empowers you to do. And it's not because you became stronger. It's because you finally yielded to the one who is strong. The more you rely on Him, the more fearless you become. Not reckless, not proud, but fearless in the way that heaven recognizes the kind of boldness that comes from being hidden in God, from knowing that your steps are ordered, your voice is anointed, and your life is covered by the blood, O Spirit of the living God. Fill me with holy boldness. Let me not shrink back in fear, but step forward in faith. Silence every lie that says I am not enough. Let your perfect love cast out all fear. Strengthen my heart to obey you no matter the cost. Let me speak your word with authority. Let me walk in your truth without compromise. You are my refuge and my strength. Be my courage, be my confidence, be the fire in my bones that will not be quenched. When the Holy Spirit dwells within you, He begins to use your very weakness as a platform for His glory. What others called limitations, He calls opportunities. What you called failure, He redeems into testimony. He chooses the weak things of the world to confound the strong. He chooses the ones who've been overlooked, underestimated, and silenced, and He fills them with power from on high. You may feel unqualified, you may feel inadequate, but He equips, and in your surrender, He moves. It's not about having the right words or the perfect plan, it's about availability. He doesn't look for polished vessels, He looks for willing ones. The kind that will say, "Here I am, send me." The kind that will step out even when everything in the natural says stay hidden. The kind that will speak truth when lies are popular. And when you say yes to Him, when you yield your weakness, He fills you with a strength that does not come and go. It abides. He will call you into places that feel too big. He will ask you to do things that stretch you. But every command He gives is backed by His grace. You will find yourself doing what you never imagined, not because you're gifted, but because He's present. His strength is not the kind that lifts weights. It's the kind that lifts burdens. It's the kind that makes you stand firm when the ground shakes. It's the kind that causes you to pray when giving up would be easier. It's the kind that lets you love when you've been wounded, to forgive when you've been betrayed, to rise when everything around you tells you to stay down. Spirit of power, breathe on me. Let every weakness be a doorway to your strength. Let every fear bow at your name. I confess that I cannot do this on my own. I need you every hour. Fill me with the fire of heaven. Let me burn for what you love. Let me walk boldly into what you have prepared for me. Let my life declare that you are enough, even when I am not. Let my steps be fueled by faith, not fear. Let me live unshaken, because I know in whom I have believed. There will be days when you feel tired, unsure, overwhelmed, but His strength is made perfect in weakness. You will look back on moments where you should have crumbled and realize you were carried, not because you held it together, but because He held you. That is the power of His presence. He doesn't just give strength, He becomes it. He becomes your shield, your foundation, your rear guard. You begin to live not from striving, but from abiding. And in that place, boldness rises like a river. Not because of who you are, but because of who He is in you. He turns ordinary people into vessels of extraordinary impact. He takes brokenness and makes it a stage for miracles. He takes the fearful and turns them into warriors. He takes the weary and breathes new life. The world won't always understand it. Even you may not understand it. But you will know, deep in your spirit, that you were never meant to live timidly. You were meant to live empowered, not by flesh, not by intellect, but by the Spirit of the living God. When the Holy Spirit dwells within, your desires begin to align with heaven. The cravings that once drove you, the temptations that used to lure you, the distractions that once satisfied, they begin to lose their voice. Something deeper awakens, something holy. It is not that you become perfect, but that your heart begins to long for what is eternal. The things of the world grow strangely dim, not because you force them away, but because something more beautiful has captured your gaze. The Spirit shifts your affections, reshapes your motives, and rewrites your appetites. You no longer chase what is temporary because you've tasted what is everlasting. He doesn't just point you in the right direction. He plants new desires in your heart. Desires that reflect the heartbeat of the Father. Desires that are pure, not because you are pure in your own strength, but because His holiness is at work within you. What once thrilled the flesh begins to grieve your spirit. What once seemed harmless now feels heavy, not because someone told you to feel guilty, but because the Spirit inside you is sensitive, and He teaches you to be sensitive too. His convictions are never harsh, but they are unmistakable. He leads you into truth, not by pressure, but by drawing you with cords of love. You start to love what He loves. You begin to hate what causes distance between your heart and His. Your decisions are no longer based on convenience or popularity, but on obedience. He gives you a hunger for righteousness, a longing to please the One who gave everything for you. And that hunger changes the way you live. It changes the way you talk, the way you think, the way you spend your time. You don't live by impulse anymore. You live by intimacy. You don't ask, "What do I want?" You ask, "What do you want, Lord?" Spirit of holiness, come and make your dwelling place in me. Transform my heart until it beats in rhythm with yours. Take every unholy desire and crucify it. Birth in me a hunger for what is pure, for what is true, for what is eternal. Let my life be a sweet offering to you. Let me desire nothing more than to please you. Make me sensitive to your promptings. Let your whisper be louder than the noise of this world. I want to want what you want. When the Holy Spirit is present, the battle between flesh and spirit becomes clear. And though the flesh still speaks, it no longer reigns. He gives you power to say no to sin, not out of fear, but out of love. You don't resist out of duty. You resist because you have found something better. And the more you walk with Him, the more you realize that what the world offers pales in comparison to the richness of his presence. One moment with him is worth more than a lifetime of worldly pleasure. His nearness becomes your reward. It's not that the temptations disappear, it's that you are no longer enslaved to them. He gives you the ability to choose differently. He reminds you that you are not a slave. You are a son, a daughter. You belong to a kingdom that cannot be shaken. And in that belonging there is power. Power to live holy in an unholy world. Power to walk upright in a generation that bows to compromise. Power to be set apart not in pride but in purity. You are no longer conformed to the pattern of this world. You are being transformed by the renewing of your mind. Spirit of the living God, renew my mind. Take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Let me not be shaped by culture, but by your word. Let me not be pulled by my emotions, but led by your spirit. Remove every desire that does not glorify you. Plant in me the fruit of the Spirit. Let love be my motive, joy be my strength, peace be my anchor. Let patience, kindness, and gentleness mark my interactions. Let self-control rule my flesh. I don't want to live for myself. I want to live for your glory. There is a deep work that takes place when he fills your life. You begin to love differently, not with human affection, but with divine compassion. You see people through his eyes. You begin to pray for those who hurt you. You begin to serve without expecting to be seen. You begin to give without needing recognition. These are not just moral improvements. They are supernatural evidences of a life surrendered. You don't become better. You become new. And that newness flows from the Spirit within. You start to dream differently. Your dreams are no longer wrapped in self-glory, but in kingdom purpose. You don't ask for success for your name's sake. You ask for impact for his name's sake. You ask for influence not to be admired, but to lead others to the one who set you free. The Spirit doesn't just change what you do. He changes why you do it. He purifies your motives. He makes you long for fruit that remains, not fame that fades. And in that longing, he aligns you with heaven's agenda. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Do not cast me from your presence. Take not your Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of your salvation, and uphold me with your generous spirit. Guard my heart above all else, for from it flows the wellspring of life. Teach me to delight in your will, to walk in your ways, to choose the narrow road. Let the desires of my heart reflect the desires of heaven. As he transforms your desires, your life becomes a testimony, not of self-discipline, but of divine grace. People begin to notice, not because you've grown more impressive, but because you've grown more surrendered. There is a glow about a person whose heart is aligned with heaven. There's a purity that cannot be faked, a peace that cannot be explained, a joy that does not depend on circumstances, and all of it points not to you, but to him. This is the quiet miracle of the Holy Spirit. He takes what once led you astray and brings it into submission. He takes your heart of flesh and softens it even further. He makes you holy, not by effort, but by presence. And in that holiness you find the joy of obedience, the peace of surrender, and the delight of walking hand in hand with the one who knows you best. He doesn't just visit. He abides, and where he abides, nothing stays the same. His presence is not seasonal. He does not come and go like fleeting emotion or passing inspiration. He makes his home in the heart that welcomes him. the heart that surrenders even with trembling hands, the heart that says, "Stay with me even when it feels unworthy." He delights in dwelling, not because we are perfect, but because He is faithful. His abiding is gentle, but it is powerful. Quiet, yet consuming. It begins in silence and unfolds in every part of life. You start to notice His presence not only in the sacred moments, but in the ordinary ones. In the stillness of early mornings, in the middle of your tears, in your going out and coming in, you begin to feel the constant companionship of the Spirit. Not just when you're praying, not just when you're worshiping, but even when you're walking, breathing, thinking, you become aware that you are never alone, not for a moment. He is not just near you, He is in you. And that awareness becomes a sanctuary, a refuge, a fountain of peace. When He abides, your inner world begins to settle. The noise that once ruled your thoughts is silenced by His voice. You're no longer driven by urgency or anxiety, but led by peace. His presence steadies you. It strengthens you. It teaches you how to live from a place of rest, not striving. You don't hustle to be seen. You don't scramble for approval. You've already been found by the One who knows you fully and still chooses to stay. You don't have to earn what's already been given. His abiding is the evidence of grace. He begins to fill the spaces you once filled with noise. You no longer need distractions to feel okay. You no longer depend on people's applause to feel significant. He becomes your portion. He becomes your satisfaction. And the more you abide in Him, the more you hunger for Him. It's not a fleeting encounter. It's a daily communion, a conversation that never ends. You begin to wake up with Him on your mind and fall asleep with your spirit whispering prayer. He becomes the atmosphere in which you live. Spirit of the living God, dwell in me richly, not as a guest, but as my Lord. Take every room, every corner of my heart. Let there be no place untouched by your light. Let me be so aware of you that I never move without your leading. Be my comfort, be my guide, be my joy. Teach me to rest in your presence. Teach me to live in step with you. Let my life be a dwelling place that reflects your glory. When He abides, conviction becomes clearer. You no longer question what grieves Him. You feel it. Not as guilt, but as a tender ache in your spirit that says, this is not who you are anymore. You begin to walk carefully, not fearfully, but reverently. Not because you're trying to avoid punishment, but because you value His presence too much to risk its silence. You become sensitive to what draws you closer to Him and what pulls you away, and that sensitivity becomes your compass, your protection, your covering. His abiding produces fruit. Fruit that remains. Love that endures even when it costs. Joy that bubbles up in the midst of sorrow. Peace that doesn't make sense to the world. Patience that holds steady through the storm. Kindness that softens even the hardest places. Goodness that flows even in a world gone dark. Faithfulness that anchors you when you feel like drifting. Gentleness that disarms and heals. Self-control that guards what is building inside of you. You don't force these things. They grow because He lives in you. The more He abides, the more your life becomes a reflection of His. You start to respond differently. speak differently, see differently. You no longer crave the spotlight. You crave his presence. You no longer measure success by numbers or applause, but by obedience. You no longer fear what the future holds because you walk with the one who holds it. His abiding presence becomes your secret strength. It becomes the place you return to when everything else is shaking. And in that place, you are never truly shaken. Abide in me, Lord, and let me abide in you. Let your words remain in me. Let your truth shape my thoughts. Let your nearness be my greatest treasure. Keep me from wandering. Keep me from self-reliance. Let me not grieve your spirit. Let my life be a resting place for you, not just on Sundays, not just in worship, but in the daily, hidden places. I give you my every moment, my every breath, my every step. Take delight in dwelling with me, Lord. He becomes the whisper in your silence, the strength in your weakness, the fire in your worship, the stillness in your chaos. And you begin to see life differently. You no longer see God as far off, unreachable, or passive. You know him as near, personal, and deeply involved. You don't have to chase him down. He is already here, abiding, residing, speaking, leading, comforting. It's not about the grandeur of outward displays. It's about the quiet transformation of a heart that says yes, yes to his rule, yes to his friendship, yes to his lordship. His abiding transforms your loneliness into communion, your emptiness into overflow, your instability into steadfastness. And even when you falter, even when you forget, he remains. He is faithful when you are not. He abides when you wander. He pursues when you grow cold. He draws you back with mercy. He never gives up his place. Because when he abides, he is not a visitor, he is family. He is the lifeblood of your spirit, the anchor of your soul, the everlasting presence that refuses to leave you the way he found you. He will walk with you through the valley. He will sit with you in the waiting. He will celebrate with you on the mountain. His presence will be your covering, your whisper in the dark, your flame in the cold. And the longer you walk with him, the more you realize there is no greater gift than this abiding presence. Not success, not security, not the approval of man. Nothing compares to knowing he is near, that he is here, that he is home in you.